his 30s, Taylor had spent some time in Australia, who, like New Zealand authorities, had become aware of his travels to Al-Qaeda-occupied zones in Pakistan. Resultingly, Australia considered him a security risk and withdrew his right to enter the country again. As a passport holder, New Zealand accepted him back, reluctantly, even gave him consulate assistance in Pakistan, but placed travel restrictions on him. Evidently, that didn't include the largest Muslim country on the planet, Indonesia, where he moved to in 2012 to teach English. In 2014, he abandoned his wife and headed to Syria to join the burgeoning Islamic State. Lived 5 years with Daesh until his capture by the Kurds. During his time with ISIL, Taylor was prolific on varying social media sites: Facebook, Twitter, even LinkedIn, which I'll get to shortly. Positively basked in his infamy, taunted New Zealand journalists, security intelligence service and politicians alike. Some of his fingers up to the civilised world, from this one-time New Zealand territorial soldier, now turned soldier for Allah, included postings that urged extremists in New Zealand and Australia to commence operations, launched anti-Semitic attacks upon John Key and the New Zealand government being part of a Zionist network, called for New Zealand and Australian Muslims to rise up and wage jihad on Anzac Day. Set forth he was on a one-way mission. His life was now committed to jihad. To emphasise his dedication to the cause, he defiantly displayed his burnt New Zealand passport on his Facebook page. His LinkedIn profile was a masterclass in understatement.
Teaching children from ages 5 to 12 or grades 1 to 8. Basic English, conversational language, teaching grammar, past and present tenses, teaching with a puppet and enjoying having fun with the students. Living in the heart of Islamic State is a good experience, and I encourage others to come and see it for themselves. There's no danger here and a great place to bring up family, except Western jet fighters that always drop bombs on civilians.
Sounds like a perfect and conductive learning environment for children, except the bit about the jet fighters and the dropping of bombs.
Hey look Mum, I found the severed hand on the way to school.
Parents will naturally be keen to know if ISIL have a school zoning system. Taylor's social media addiction led him earning the well-deserved sobriquet in the global media of the Bumbling Jihadi. In 2015, he issued a whole series of tweets that were geotagged, meaning he pinpointed precisely ISIS positions all over their seized territory. Needless to say, the leaders of the terrorist group weren't mightily happy as drones systematically took out their bolt holes hidden in suburbia. Similarly, his buddies were pissed off being pictured unmasked in his tweets. The rap over the knuckles by Daesh HQ saw him doing 50 days in their jail, the first of 3 stints he would do. The other 2 were for smoking hash and drinking alcohol. In an interview in 2020, Taylor got indignatious over his imprisoning.
It turns out freedom of speech was not allowed in Islamic State,
he bemoaned from his Syrian detention camp. No kidding, Einstein, who was a Jew by the way. What else did he have to say about his life with ISIS? Public executions, beheadings, that sort of thing. Big on empathy, Taylor casually quipped,
"Not really my problem. I was kind of devastated. That sort of thing could have happened to me too."
then outlined his desire to get back his passport and travel back to New Zealand, where he had big plans to start up a new enterprise. One that doesn't involve dousing people in petrol and setting them alight, the entire country of New Zealand hoped.
"I was looking to go home to do some business. There might be a chance of legalising marijuana. I was looking at a business idea where I can do a plant and food business with marijuana."
What was the ISIS penalty for drug dealing again? Crucifixion, first offence. But his big moan about his time with Daesh was the price of sex slaves. How hard it was to get ahead and himself one of those newer models. All he could do was scrounge up the equivalent of a mid-80s Corolla, cue the violins. Not that he was short of female company, oh no. During his time in Syria he married and divorced twice. Divorce in these cases being his jihadi wives scarpering back to their relatives to get away from him. Add that to a failed marriage in New Zealand, the one in Indonesia, and the 42-year-old from Hamilton was now up to number 4. Undeterred, Taylor, now calling himself Abu John Daniel, went on the dating site IslamicMarriage.com seeking number 5. What a catch. Still, on the positive, in between slaughtering and enslaving people, according to Taylor, everyone in the caliphate was polite. So unlike New Zealand.
"Please, if it's not too much bother, would you all move to the edge of this tall building so I can push you off?"
All through his time with ISIS, Taylor had a catch-me-if-you-can attitude. That was until the regime began to collapse and the rats began to flee the sinking ship. As you would have noticed by now, Taylor was physically a rather plumpish rat. His posts and boasts evaporated as the caliphate shrank to the equivalent of 10 football pitches. He fought it out, got injured and was captured, right? Did a Berlin 1945? Nah. He meekly surrendered, asked if they had a KFC in Erbil. I made that last bit up, but it may as well be true. This guy is all over the place. And by the way, they do have KFCs in Erbil. Not that Taylor will be seeing the inside of one of those KFCs anytime shortly. He sits instead, stateless and incognito, in a Syrian jail, wanting New Zealanders and everyone else who will listen to come to his rescue. Boo bloody hoo. Whatever you like to call yourself today, Mark, Muhammad, Abu, etc., etc., etc. I can't see his reapplication for New Zealand passport or travel documents coming through any time shortly. Your fervent wish, after all, was for a one-way trip, so you lucked in. Besides, there's plenty of time now for you to learn what actually was on that cap of yours. I hope you enjoyed my humble YouTube. I have lots more interesting things for you to peruse, so have a scratch around my YouTube channel and like, subscribe, do all those good things, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.